and welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring Dawn aboard 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you as always, and we are once again on Calderis Refinery, a great map with a pair of great players. Let's go ahead and take a look at who's on the map today. Dullahan on the blue side as the Space Marine Force Commander, and Texcalibur as the Grey Knight Brother Captain, with a little bit of Bloodraven Grey Knight there happening today. So anyways, I put on a call to arms on the Elite Mod chat room for some Grey Knight play in one-on-one. I haven't seen the Grey Knights around much at all, and sure enough, Dullahan was on the scene with a pretty sweet replay for it. So let's take a look at what we've got. Grey Knights, I feel like I've seen lots in team games still showing up, but one-on-one I haven't seen nearly as much, so hopefully we'll see Tex do some of his standard shenanigans here, maybe catch us off guard with a couple of cool combinations and stuff like that, and Dullahan's always a top-notch player as well, going offensively for this contested power here nice and early, not sending the scouts usually to capture one of these two wreck points, or either go scouts power and then have the commander come this way, sending the scouts way up offensively to grab that early power, then getting himself the second scout squad. You can see Tex actually already used Weir the Hammer, kind of similarly to how we see Corn Worship in the beginning, to get these units out here a little quicker, boost that movement speed, get these two squads way up and in offensive position nice and quick. Tex doing a similar thing that we see Space Marine, getting that second squad of Inquisitorial Stormtroopers out early. And I think Stormtroopers pretty much decisively beat Scouts in a ranged battle early on. So long as the Scouts aren't hanging out in green cover, those Inquisitorial Stormtroopers will beat them up pretty badly. Strike Squad getting some quick shots in. Scouts know not to stick around. Even though the Strike Squad doesn't do as much damage as Tax, it's still nothing you want to have your Scouts sitting under in the meantime. So Tex being pretty disruptive right here. However, the Brother Captain's up front unsupported. He did get the VPs nice and early. Stormtroopers are still kind of hanging back on cap duty, however, and not going to be here to deal with these three range squads that are going to kite around the Brother Captain. Stormtroopers are going to try to do the same thing to the Force Commander, but in the meantime, Tex's Strike Squad just getting some capping in back there. I feel like they might have wanted to come out here and support the Brother Captain. Looks like he's going to have to fall back here relatively quickly. He's going to try to get a kill on these Tax squads, it looks like, while they try to get the decap, but he's getting very low. Tax getting a couple swings here. He hesitated slightly on that retreat. Brother Captain getting very low. Force Commander closing in for the kill, and that one swing is gonna end him pretty quickly. Really quick, kind of stuttery death animation right there for the Brother Captain. He kind of just fell right on his butt. One tack did go down, so not a complete loss for Tex, I suppose, but he needs to get out of there before this racks up anymore. He's not going to get his second kill on those tacks. Nice special attack from the Force Commander with his battle cry being used right there. Looks like all three members are going to get out, and Tex is only going to be down that hero. Luckily, if you look at the resource income right now, Tex is well ahead, so he might, as far as map control, make up that potential early loss on his hero. Force Commander getting himself an Armor of Alacrity, finding the Brother Captain, got right back up and in his face already. Force Commander is going to try to pick off a few Inquisitorial Stormtroopers. Tex has a node up. Dullahan has one as well, just trying to hold that forward node as easily as possible. Grey Knights don't have an easy way to take those nodes down very rapidly, so it's nice to get those nodes up against races kind of like Eldar or even Chaos. You don't really want to spam those nodes too easily, because Heretics and Banshees can just shred those things pretty easily on their own without having to devote much to that. But races like Grey Knights and Space Marines, if they don't have a flame or something like that on, it's kind of worth it, because Scouts and Stormtroopers aren't going to be taking out these nodes very easily. Anyways, both players popping all the nodes, no free power on the map to be capped. Attack is still down on this squad, but it's upgrading to the Flamer and heading over aggressively, it looks like, to the power farm. Luckily, Tex doesn't have any generators up, because it doesn't look like he'd be able to defend currently. And we see the Devastator with the advanced targeting upgrade, which is interesting. This is actually something I like to do against the Chaos Lord, and I'm supposing it would work just as well against the Brother Captain. Of course, those Vengeance rounds aren't going to be doing any extra damage to vehicles, but keeping those on the Devastator are going to put some serious pressure on the Brother Captain if he ever tries to charge headlong into your setup team. Those Vengeance rounds actually do some deceptively high damage output when you can catch a hero or a squad off guard at close range. Tax trying to get that node down. It looks like they might not be able to do it, Hopefully Tex doing some damage. Hopefully Dullahan's paying attention to those tactical marines as they fall back. In the meantime, up top we've got the force commander getting very low, facing off against stormtroopers, and the brother captain now upgraded with the unending purge. Makes it nigh on impossible to take him down. Tex bringing some interceptors on the field, some jump squad support. But with the brother captain and this unending purge, he can just get down to half HP and then get some serious regen and pretty much stay on the map. If he retreats even, it makes him almost impossible to kill on retreat. Tex not really going for the power push. I kind of thought those stormtroopers might have been trying to tag a generator or something along those lines. VP is pretty even so far. Tex moving in on this devastating, now set up facing the wrong direction. The strike squad was actually about to move into the arc, but it had already unset up. Stormtroopers now trying to focus it down. They should be, I feel like, focusing those scouts, but they want to get a kill on that devastator, maybe cause a little power loss there for Mr. Dullahan. Those scouts getting beat up pretty badly too. Strike squad might be overextending here a bit because it's just charging headlong against everything. Finally gets itself a model. Scouts, however, get some grenades just as they start retreating. Two go off, tags two models. Excellent grenades there from Dullahan. Taking out two members of the strike squad. Big loss there for Tex. He pretty much has to fall back with everything. I'm not sure if the scouts, the stormtroopers had the fallback right there. They did have this interceptor squad, which is now being, overly aggressive as it teleports into those scouts to take them out. You can see Dullahan's pretty much popping those vengeance rounds whenever he gets the chance to. Once that squad gets suppressed, there's no reason not to pop those vengeance rounds if you have them upgraded. That squad will be suppressed unless you need to keep it there. Those vengeance rounds are going to shred it up. So Tex getting kind of pushed back here. Has two generators up, but their attacks moving in once again. Dullahan has his power farm completely full, and now starting to crack into Tex's natural points here. Gonna be taking out that eco as he decaps both of these fully matured requisition points. Vengeance rounds pop once again, but I think that time he probably would have wanted the suppression. Forces Tex to retreat again anyways. I'm not sure if Tex realized those were the vengeance rounds or not, but decides to fall back. Tex actually going to get the decap over here on Tex's power. Managed to take out that node, get a quick decap in before they're forced off. Dullahan doing a good job of using those tactical marines independently from the rest of his army. Using the force commander, scouts, and devastator as his primary force, and then keeping those tacks on the power, keeping the pressure on Tex, trying to keep him spread out as much as he possibly can. Dullahan's going to be heading into Tier 2 shortly here, as soon as that power ticks up a few more points, and going to have the VP lead as well. So Tex isn't necessarily in too good of a position. He lost his hero, he lost quite a few members on his strike squad. I think he lost those two and maybe one more earlier. Point blank grenade from the scouts, picking off some HP from that brother captain. Also upgraded now with the Mantle of Terror, given the Canticle of Absolution ability, which gives some nice AoE energy regen. Dullahan choosing for double scout charges, which has been useful so far, but I'm surprised not to see scout shotguns. I believe the Sarges actually give them the necessary durability and firepower to stand up against stormtroopers, which is good. I don't think you want to give up that range damage against stormtroopers, really. You can see interceptors moving in here, and look at the energy regen from that AoE ability that the Hood grants the brother captain. Interceptors trying to do a lot of damage, but they're not actually faring that well. Taking a lot of focus fire, pretty weak right now, teleporting in and kind of harassing everything they can. Something I want to point out, I see in the chat right there, you can see Hatton Clogs is arguing that interceptors are better jump troops, and while that may be true in Tier 2, in Tier 1, despite their teleport being immediate, they do not have any disruption at all. Tex doing a good job taking out a pair of attacks right there, kind of returning the favor. Cost him a strike squad member and an interceptor squad, but he got a pretty nice push. These stormtroopers managed to get back some map, and in the meantime, he's gotten his power back as well. So he's heading into Tier 2. Dullahan has a Razorback on the way, however, so there's going to be a brief point where that Razorback's going to have a huge impact before Tex gets any sort of AV on the field. He probably is aware that he's behind in tech now that his power's been decapped and he hasn't gotten a single gen bash of his own in right here. But yeah, these Scout Squad Sarges, as I was talking about before that engagement went down and didn't finish my thought, those grenades, despite not being shotguns, they still give you a nice bit of kind of zone control. You can deny kind of little spots by putting grenades in and forcing those melee squads to kind of fall back or take some heavy damage from a scout grenade. So by keeping their range damage high and keeping their range in general high, they can kind of deal with these stormtroopers a little better than if they had those shotguns. They kind of just get kited around and bleed models. Razorback answers the stormtrooper assault with a squad attacks inside of it, and it looks like those attacks are going to be free to push that power. Tex spots the potential threat, however, and is moving in a couple of big Grey Knight squads to intercept. Right now, the VPs are pretty much even up once again. Tex took the map there for a while and kind of brought it back. He's starting to fall behind here, though, if he doesn't get back out here shortly. About 50 VPs down. Now that Dullahan has that central VP. Brother Captain taking tons of fire right here. Drops his Canticle once again, trying to get a little damage on those scouts. I'm not sure if it actually does any damage over time. I think it reduces their outgoing, though. I'm not entirely sure. The main part of Canticle of Absolution that I'm familiar with is that energy regen that we just saw on those interceptors, which allows them to kind of rapid fire jump all over the place. Once they get their Justicar, they can really do some serious damage with the extra damage and disruption that their jump then offers.
That's a good position.
And that's really what sets them apart from the other squads. They have the instant teleport, but in Tier 1 they have no disruption, whereas Assault Marines and Chaos Raptors have knockback and suppression, respectively. Force Commander already upgraded with his Thunderhammer, which I think is an excellent choice against the Grey Knights, since they are kind of melee dependent here. Devastator in a lot of trouble right here. It's trying to kite around, trying to come into range of these scouts dropping grenades right there. Of course, Tex spots it, manages to get that Devastator out, and I think that was a really excellent play. A bit tricky right there, but Dullahan knew that if he had retreated right there, those interceptors would have gotten some nice retreat damage hit. May well have destroyed that Devastator. Instead, he didn't panic, kept it cool, got it in range of the scouts, which were able to deter the threat of those interceptors, and then with some nice play, nice combination of ranged firepower and just brute melee force from the Force Commander, really holding the center of the map independently once again from the Tactical Marines, which have just been going around bashing generators and countering these Stormtroopers. Those Stormtroopers you kind of move to expect other capping squads since they're moving on their own. But Dullahan's kind of been switching up the mold here, keeping his scouts as the main army force and using the tax as capping and harassment, so really putting kind of a halt to the normal stormtrooper harassment that's been going on from Grey Knights. Tex has himself a Dreadnought, and of course when there are vehicles on the field, it's an interesting kind of dynamic for Grey Knights, because your primary source of anti-vehicles is in fact vehicles. You have either your Laz Razorback or your Melta Dreadnought. Of course, your interceptors now have anti-vehicle grenades as well, so that's going to help a bit. Librarian's on the field, already upgraded with the Veil of Time, has his Force Staff as well, and you can see with only 900 HP, he doesn't have the Psychic Code, so no Gate of Infinity, but he does have his other two support abilities. Force Commander hanging back, ready to support. Nice smite there. Another grenade, and look, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We see Dullahan constantly using those grenades to not necessarily do damage, but to buy time and get that melee out of there. Unfortunately for Dullahan, he only has that Devastator with the upgraded Vengeance rounds. He's going to need to get himself some other form of anti-vehicle here shortly. And I'm sure he knows that. Tex completely pushing up unopposed. That Grey Knight Dreadnought just charging in, sitting right outside of Dullahan's base. Tex now in a good position to maybe Gen Bash, could send that Dreadnought over this direction. Doesn't want to have it stick around too long. He knows Dullahan's going to have a counter out for this vehicle relatively shortly. He is getting himself a second Devastator, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing that upgrade to a Las Cannon before too much longer. Here comes the Nemesis focus on the Interceptor squad. Strike squad has the fallback, or sorry, that's on the Strike squad, not the Interceptors. The Interceptors get the grenade upgrade. Bear with me, I've only done a couple casts on Grey Knight games, that's why I want to do more, and I just want to kind of inspire people to check these guys out. I feel like we see them plenty in team games, but in one-on-one they've just kind of disappeared, I feel like. But I don't know, maybe I haven't been paying attention enough, but certainly no one is posting replays, so go ahead, do that. Post me some replays. Anyways, Dullahan setting up, getting himself in position to hold the center here. Gonna set up his last cannon up front with the Devastators in the rear. And of course, that's just going to tempt the Interceptors to jump right on that last cannon, disrupt that anti-vehicle presence. And then they're going to jump right into the middle of a Devastator arc of fire. Interesting, he chose to use the Veil of Time on the Devastator that's anti-infantry. I really guess he's going for control, even using those scouts there as a nice little intimidation technique, saying if you stick around, you're going to get suppressed, you're going to get grenades on you. You don't want to stick around too often. You don't want to let those scouts get in there at all when you're going to have to be behind you for retreat, because you're going to get grenades right on your face. There goes another pair of grenades. Razorback goes down to the Melta, however. Tex retreats knowing that's a victory for him. Doesn't want to lose too much else. You can see these sparking circles on the las cannon squad for the Emperor doing crazy damage to that Dreadnought. And 3 shots, that thing's down to half HP. I think that las cannon does about 200 damage per shot easily for the Emperor. Actually, a very nice use of Force Barrier right there, which I don't see very often at all. Librarian doing a good job of being useful so far against the Grey Knight threat. However, Dullahan, now knowing that Tex had to fall back with most of his infantry, takes full advantage of it. He's going to take out another entire power farm. He's been doing some excellent gen bashing and map control with these tactical marines. And you can see that the map is predominantly blue right now. Tex has a couple points and has an empty power farm right now. So not looking good at all for Tex. Dullahan bringing himself a Dreadnought of his own on the field. Force Commander being brutally effective right now with that Thunderhammer. However, the Brother Captain's been upgraded with the Nemesis Force Halberd, and we see it do exactly what it needs to. Look at that, 83 power melee damage. That is some nasty stuff, and these scouts with their grenade didn't quite get it out into the disruption field in time. However, this follow-up grenade nails that strike squad pretty hard. Grey Knight Dreadnought moving a bit too far forward. Something needs to get up there and disrupt that vehicle, or sorry, that anti-vehicle right now. For the Emperor, once again, it looks like was activated on that Devastator squad. I'm pretty sure that's what that sparky ring is for. Here comes the Interceptor squad, going to do some damage to that las cannon. I actually thought, had they teleported maybe a little further behind and knocked that squad forward, they may have been able to take it out. Devastator is notorious for going down to melee in retreat because they're just so damn slow. A bit of a melee brawl here, but the Grey Knight Dreadnought's already on the backhand right there. Not looking too good. Here comes the Interceptors, however, to do some damage, knocking the Force Commander off. I don't know if they have enough energy or have their grenade on cooldown right now yet. But they're pushing up, facing off against scouts. It looks like the Force Commander might narrowly escape. Interceptors could have gone for it, but they would have been in a very dangerous position had they had to retreat through those scouts with grenades. Yeah, and it looks like they fall back after losing a model. Losing 2 models, actually. And already might lose a third to this Dreadnought. Looks like they're going to get out of there. Didn't manage to get 2 whacks in with that Power Fist. Melta taking another quick pot shot at that Dreadnought, but there's 2 scouts there to reinforce. Tex needs to be very careful because that las cannon could be moving into position right now. Here it comes! It's got Veil of Time, it's blue, it's quick, it's going to hurt some feelings. 600 HP on that Dread. 435 for the Emperor once again being activated. And we're seeing that 200 damage, 435 down to 229, so about 210 per shot. It's going to be down to 10 HP, and it's just not getting away. Tex has nothing out here. Brother Captain's moving in, but it's too little too late. Down it goes. Not good for Tex at all. Tex down to 4 squads. Dullahan has a full army and still has his Dreadnought out here, which we don't even see on the unit tab. So Tex in a bad spot. He's going to need to make some really strong pushes here. He got about 100 VPs down, or 150 VPs down. Got no power of his own. Hasn't gotten a single gen bash in. Dullahan's looking really strong right now. Heading into tier 3 as well. Tex bringing a second Dreadnought out here. I kind of feel like Tex might benefit pretty well from a squad, a Purgation squad, to really push back these scouts, put some pressure on the Librarian and Force Commander. Just some heavy ranged firepower. He's so melee dependent right now, and Dullahan's just ready for it. He's got a melee dread. He's got the Force Commander with the power hammer. He's got Librarian with Force Staff. It's just not the kind of army you want to deal with melee right now. Dullahan's really been playing the kind of area control game, using this Devastator, using the Librarian, now with the Dreadnought as well. It's just melee doesn't want to go anywhere near that. We'll have to see what he does with this Dreadnought coming up, but I have the feeling at this point in the game, one of these Dreadnoughts going down could really be it. Although I'd have to say, that's probably a kind of wrong conclusion to draw right there. Tex has his interceptors in a lot of trouble, but they flank around to get out of there. Librarian might be going down, but the Brother Captain goes down first. One more swing, and that would have been it for the Libby. Kind of worth the risk, but unfortunately didn't work out for Tex. But as I was saying about the Dreadnoughts, it's actually kind of over if Tex loses his Dreadnought. Dullahan can probably still come back from losing his, but Tex needs to really make this Dreadnought count to stay in the game. Tex struggling to even keep his natural points at this time. Heading into the late game, Tex is looking pretty rough. Dullahan managing to get a lucky victory by keeping that Librarian up. Tex was willing to go for the trade, and a hero for an upgraded Librarian is certainly worth the trade. You can buy your hero back for $250, but to get that Librarian back with some upgraded experience and that sort of thing is gonna hurt. Really what I would like to see, actually, from Tex is maybe using I forget what it's called. There's a global that the Brother Captain has that actually is a global silence for, I think, I want to say 10 or 15 seconds. It might not be that long, but I forget what it's called. And it would really kind of shut down what Dullahan has going on here. It would shut down the Librarian spam, it would shut down grenades, the Force Commander's battle cry. Force Commander completely kitted out now, too, with the Sacred Standard, giving an AoE damage boost to everything around him, and if you take him out, it only makes it worse. He'll just sit on the ground and glower at you or something, and that really makes his army mad. Las Cannon trying to take some shots at the Brother Captain. Brother Captain pretty low right now. Both commanders with some serious war gear on them. 62 VPs for Tex right now, though, and he really needs to take a win here. Dreadnought's pushing in pretty hard right here. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Tex trying to deal with this Brother Captain, getting very low. Look at the damage that Halberd does. Brother Captain narrowly escaping. Dreadnought's moving in for the Stormtroopers, but it's in the meantime been taking tons and tons of damage from this Melta-Dread. I'm not sure what Dullahan's planning to do right now. Force Commander getting very low as well. Gonna have to retreat through the Interceptor squad. If they turn and attack, he's going down. Justicar comes in, finishes him off. Dreadnought goes down. And the Devastator's going to go down as well. Huge win right now for Texaneous. Bringing it back right there in that engagement. Huge turnaround right there. Devastator's trying to move in for a kill. Strike Squad's going to answer that, though, with a quick teleport shortly. Man, look at how much damage that smite does under the buff effect of the Sacred Standard. That obliterated those poor... I mean, they were already low health, but man, that was rough. That was rough indeed. Grey Knight Dreadnought. I'm surprised the Interceptors didn't teleport. It must have been on cooldown. But this squad actually, I don't think can repair because it's only the Sarge left. If you notice that with Scouts as well, if only the Sarge is left, they can't actually repair anything because the Sarge model itself doesn't have the repair ability. So Tex might want to get that back home because repair is really going to be an essential part of these Stormtroopers' jobs right now. Oh man, and here comes Tax upgraded with a rocket launcher. Vengeance rounds going down once again. Brother Captain changed to his teleporter pack, moving in on that Devastator. I think he may have wanted to do that sooner. Having two teleporter squads to deal with is very frustrating. You can see trying to kite around. Here comes the Interceptors with a beautiful disruption right there on just about everything. Librarian manages to get another nice force wall in right there, knocking back those Interceptors, but allowing the Brother Captain to hammer away at him in the meantime. Librarian has to fall back. Force Commander doesn't care, though.
I hear you. Go ahead.
And he actually went for the Power Fist And you can see Dullahan's now kind of converting everything to make sure he can take out this Dreadnought. He's got the Power Fist, he's got the rocket launcher. Once that las cannon went down, he knew he needed another source of AV. Tech's still sticking it out here as Dullahan is in Tier 3. Shortly going to be able to bring in maybe some Terminators or something along those lines. Honestly, a Predator is probably the best choice. I feel like Grey Knight really has a difficult time dealing with Predators. Tanks in general. But Dullahan actually has, both players have enough reds for an orbital bombardment. We'll see if that comes down. Dullahan not happy with that last engagement right there.
I hear you. Go ahead. New weapon scouts here. War gear deployed.
And now Dullahan's going for a big push right here. Got the rocket launcher, has the vengeance rounds, pummeling this Dreadnought, actually doing some nice damage, but oh, bits everywhere from a big shot from that Dreadnought. And oh no, here comes the orbital bombardment right now. I'm not sure Tex didn't see it. Stands right under it, has some... Oh my goodness, everything's retreating into it. This could be 3 squads down, and that's going to seal the deal if this Dreadnought doesn't get out of there. Interceptors go down, Stormtroopers go down. Dreadnought's about to go down. One lone Stormtrooper gets out of there alive. He's the only one that makes it back to base to tell about the tale. And wow, that's going to be the game. Tex down to just a single squad. Got his strike squad out. His hero went down. Dropped some flame right there. Oh my goodness. Tex calling he needs to use red, and that's actually right. I agree with that fully. I think the Brother Captain actually has 2 really excellent abilities. He just clicked it right there, I think. That was the silence ability. He also has kind of similar to Use Your Choppa's ability that raises the damage and the melee skill of a squad for, I think, something minuscule like 50 or 75 red that I think really comes in handy. I mean, it's similar to Use Your Choppas. Everyone knows how useful that is. Tex getting a quick missile shot in right there to make sure the strike squad goes down. Obviously, Tex isn't trying at this point. Went ahead and is probably going to throw in the towel here shortly. But wow, what a push there from Dullahan. Rocks and Rocket Run, you guys better watch out, because now that Orbital Bombardment has that huge area of effect and that increased firepower, man, it is on par for one of the best nukes in the game. No questions asked. Look at these guys. Look at these scouts. Level 4 scouts. You gotta love it. Upgraded now with their shotguns as well. We didn't see those shotguns for most of the map, and I think that was a good choice because it really allowed him to deal range damage without risking those scouts. He might have wanted them a little bit sooner, because around Tier 2, when those interceptors really started to become a problem, might have saved him that las cannon or something along those lines. But all in all, some great play from Dullahan. I love seeing some good Librarian use. Saw him used all over the place. Tex did some good stuff too, but kind of just lost it there at the end. Had a really nice push, but it just got thrown right back in his face when Dullahan dropped that orbital bombardment in the middle of everything. Man, that thing is good, and man, I love watching stuff explode. I wish we could have seen that plasma that plasma cannon dreadnought a little bit longer, because I love plasma cannons, I love plasma devastators, I love bits. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the game. This is Red-Rupee. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like the video, talk about the strategy, the players, the commentary. I always appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next time.